Hello, Ka-Edu. Here's Module 2, The Creation Myths and Pantheons in Mythology and Folklore. For this episode, we're going to discuss the creation myths of Greek, Roman, and Norse mythologies. This module discusses creation myths, the pantheons, and their counterparts in the world Greek, Roman, Norse, and Asian mythologies. Specifically, it explains how creation myths establish the foundations of literatures in a certain community and towards its distinctions in the collection and representation of different cultures from different countries. The pre-service teacher should be able to discuss the creation myths around the world, conduct a local-based surveys on creation myths and the pantheons believed by the community, explain the relevance of creation myths and multiple pantheons and its counterparts in the development of culture and literature of different communities and countries around the world. Share insights on the values learned from creation myths and the pantheons. Present local-based survey results on creation myths and pantheons believed in the community. What is mythology? Mythology highlights a collection of beliefs, stories, and legends believed to illustrate a cultural or religious traditions. In myth stories, the presence of gods and goddesses as well as explanations on the origin of people, places, and culture are prevalent. This means that myth stories archive the stories from our ancestors, which are generally documents of symbolic meanings and discoveries over a long period of time. There are four types of mythology. The first one is etiological mythology, which expounds how specific things came to be or how they are to be. Origin and creation myths are examples of this type since people believed that the world was created by unknown or unseen gods and goddesses and asked unanswerable questions. Examples are Filipino creation myths on the children of Limocon and the Inuit creation myth on the first two giants among others. Second one is chthonic mythology, which explains the presence of life, death, and the underworld. The idea of afterlife, the untimely death and rebirth are depictions of life's turnovers, whether advantageous or not. Examples are Egyptian mythology goddess Ma'at, who decides on who will enter the underworld, Phoenix myths, who builds its own funeral pyre once its time is coming to an end, and the Greek underworld god Hades, among others. The third one is historical mythology, which are tales of historical events and landmarks. While the myth does not accurately depict the tale, it supports to establish the historical event alive. Examples are the Iliad, the Odyssey, and the Mahabharata. The fourth one is psychological mythology, which referred to as a more personalized myth because it explains how and why people feel or react in a certain manner or way. In general, this type of mythology shows emotions, lessons, and human traits which do not necessarily present life's occurrences and natural phenomenon. Examples are journey myths, the story of Achilles, and Beowulf mythology, among others. Creation myths in Greek, Roman, and Norse mythologies. The creation myths of different countries revolve in the stories between numbers of deities who are in great conflicts with their counterparts. In Greek mythology, most of the accounts of these stories came from Hesiod as the first prominent poet in the Western tradition and his work, Theogony together with Homer, who founded the Greek religious customs and traditions. The Greek creation myths are based on cosmogonies and cosmologies of ancient people. Among Romans, rituals play a huge part in their native creation myths. Most representations also include visual arts, paintings, and sculptures influenced by Latin literature. Norse creation myths are typically different because the characters are mostly giants and gods fighting for a territory or power. All creation myths of these countries are foundations of mythology and folklore in the world, like Asian mythologies and folklores. Gaia, the Greek and Roman creation myth. There are four types of myths in Greek culture: the origin, the ages of the world, the heroes, the seasonal renewal, and the animal transformation. The Romans derived their rich culture, history, and mythology from the Greeks. The Greeks and Roman writers like Ovid, his works are Metamorphoses and the Fasti, and Virgil, the Aeneid, recorded and documented Rome as the city and the myth as the story. Gaia means earth was the source of life among Greeks and Romans. Yggdrasil, the Norse mythology creation myth. Norse mythology is a collection of myths from North Germanic people influenced by North paganism and Christianization of Scandinavian natives. The content includes tales from deities, beings, and heroes from ancient to present pagan, and medieval transcripts and documents. The cosmos of the Norse mythology was the nine worlds flanked in the sacred tree named Yggdrasil. Ymir. Yggdrasil and the Nine World. Questions? Check our virtual classroom for the learning task. See you in the next episodes.